This is our first guy.
You know I hate this dirtbag. He's getting caught today. I'm John Walsh, and I've dedicated my entire life to locking up the worst criminals. We're tracking down one of the most ruthless gangs of lawbreakers we've ever gone after. My son Callahan and I are fired up. With your help, we're coming for fugitives, hunting them down, and putting them right where they belong, behind bars, including these that you'll see tonight. First, a 19-year-old National Guardsman ambushed and gunned down. In an AMW exclusive, the chilling surveillance footage that helped police ID a dangerous gang member suspected of his murder, Joseph Matos. Then, Catfish host Neve Schulman helps us decipher clues in a twisted case involving an accused wife killer using dating apps to stay one step ahead of the law. Donald Hodges is online and on the run. And finally, an 11-year-old girl vanished without a trace, allegedly hidden for years by her own mother. Elizabeth Smart joins us to examine new evidence and a major breakthrough in this 6-year-old mystery. Help us find Jennifer Settle. America's Most Wanted is the original true crime series. You can run, but you can't hide. Hello, everybody. I'm John Walsh, and America's Most Wanted is back. Back to give voice to victims with a relentless pursuit of justice. Back to give power to you, the viewers, to help us track down the most dangerous fugitives in America. And I'm excited to have my son Callahan by my side. He's always there.
Thrilled to be here. A lot has changed since my father began this fight in 1988. Thanks to your tips, 1,198 fugitives have been captured.
Ever since my 6-year-old son Adam was abducted and murdered, I pledged to go after lowlifes in towns and cities everywhere. For us, it's not just personal, it's a promise to never give up on trying to find answers for families and deliver the nation's most dangerous fugitives to law enforcement. Last season alone, with your help, we took these 7 fugitives down. Take a good look. Since our last episode, we've celebrated the arrest of suspected child molester Davy Albaran.
Thank you to America's Most Wanted and anybody who called in with the tip that helped get justice for my daughter. And we did it!
But the captures didn't stop there. We also put 6 more lowlifes behind bars. First, suspected serial stalker Jacob Smart was taken into custody in Washington State. Then, Taji Michael, wanted for the murder of Sacramento football star Najee Grimes, was arrested in North Carolina.
We want to thank the viewers of America's Most Wanted for helping us to bring justice for the Grimes family and ultimately bring Taji Michael to justice.
Then, convicted drug dealer David Young finally faced the music when cops busted him in Sonora, Mexico. Young was a member of the street gang allegedly responsible for selling the drugs that killed Dylan Jones. Authorities also put Tyler Wilkinson behind bars in Orange County, California. Wilkinson is suspected of selling the counterfeit pills that killed 17-year-old Brooke Badger.
Orange County Sheriff's Department is very grateful. We were able to ultimately get the tips in, which led to the arrest of Tyler Wilkinson.
And finally, U.S. Marshals arrested suspected kidnappers Luis and Andrea Ramirez and returned Lucito and Camila to their aunt.
But the fight goes on, and it's your loyalty and your tips that drive us to get these lowlifes off the streets.
We couldn't do it without the dedication of local, state, and federal law enforcement, along with some incredible advocates and survivors who fight for justice every day. One of them is Elizabeth Smart, a child abduction survivor ready to lend her expertise on an unsolved missing persons case. Every minute counts, so let's saddle up. Our first case tonight is a heartbreaking National Guardsman's murder. Just 19 years old, he was fresh out of boot camp, and he was shot and killed, not in battle, but simply because he went to a party in his hometown of Chicago.
Tonight, in an AMW exclusive, a never-before-seen surveillance video shows how the FBI ID'd 2 gang members suspected of the crime. And with your help, we can finally give a grieving family the justice they need.
19-year-old Chris Carvajal was an innocent bystander that was gunned down and killed on July of 2021. The 19-year-old victim was a National Guard member who had recently returned home from boot camp.
My name is Lourdes Lara. I am Chris Carvajal mom. Chris was a beautiful young man. Happy birthday to you. Chris was not only my son. Chris was my friend, my confidant, my baby.
Even though I'm the oldest, I feel like Chris was the leader of the pack. He was always the responsible one that you could go to for any advice. My mom did really good showing him like his morals and that we should always help others before we help ourselves. Chris was the first in our family to enlist to the National Guard and protect this country. His goal was to become a police officer. Chris came back after 9 months of basic training. We were so proud of him and just so happy to have him back here. July 2nd, 2021, Chris decided to go out. He went to like a house party. He was enjoying the night, but apparently Chris needed to get something from his car.
The initial 911 call was a person calling shots fired. They also stated that they observed a male laying on the ground. I arrived around 2:30 in the morning. There was crime scene tape and patrol vehicles with their lights on, cordoning off the area. Shell casings were discovered where the shooting occurred. Our usual procedure is to start seeing if there are any witnesses and also identify any possible video of the crime. Video from a private surveillance camera actually caught the entire incident. It shows Chris run down the street by himself. As he's approaching the intersection, a red car approaches. Chris continues south towards his vehicle. That red vehicle moves forward a few feet, and an individual exits the passenger side and begins firing a handgun. When the officers responded to the scene, they discovered Chris lying face down, unresponsive on the sidewalk. And they then transfer him to Illinois Masonic Hospital, where he's eventually pronounced deceased by the doctor.
It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and my sister called me. I had a gut feeling that it was something like really bad with Chris.
That night, the detective said, he passed away. I say, no, this can happen. I say, maybe you had the wrong person. He said, no.
Why him? He never got into fights, never had any type of altercation, so why him?
The fact that video shows the entire incident, it's critical. We were able to determine a license plate of that vehicle. We were able to run it in the Secretary of State database. We then see who the registered owner is. Joseph Matos. Matos had an extensive criminal history going back to 2001.
Matos was a member of the Milwaukee Canes, a notoriously violent street gang based on the northwest side of Chicago. Despite their small numbers, like most street gangs, there is a hierarchy, and Matos was widely considered to be the second in command.
I'm never gonna forget the 4th of July. Never.
To his killers, Chris was just some nameless random notch in their belts. But he has family. He was a soldier, a brother, a son with very big dreams and a bright future.
Please, we need your help finding Joseph Matos. Take a look at these important clues. Matos is a Latino male, 42 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, about 220 pounds, and goes by the nickname Troubles. It's like this guy is begging to get caught. Check out the tattoo Most Wanted across his abdomen, and he's literally wearing a sign around his neck. M-Town Kings on the right side, and the tattoo 1300 on the left side.
The FBI considers him armed and very dangerous, and they're offering a reward of up to $25,000 for any information leading to his arrest and conviction.
We have other critical details about this case we need to share with you. Plus, we'll talk to someone who's been on the inside, a former gang leader, about what fuels this kind of violence. Stay with us.
Coming up, we have a tragic story about a fugitive who will make you think twice before hitting like on a dating app. Neve Schulman from Catfish will join us to break down the risks of digital dating and how a dangerous predator could be hiding in plain sight. Plus, we've got a crucial new lead on a missing girl, allegedly taken by her mother after a bitter custody battle. But first, we need your help with this case. They say diamonds are forever, but not in this case, where 8 suspects robbed a jewelry store of $90,000 worth of merchandise in less than 20 seconds. It all started on January 6, 2025, at the Dubai Jewelry Store, located in the Greece Ridge Center Mall in Greece, New York. Watch as the first suspect leaps over the counter, immediately grabbing necklaces. Store employees try to intervene, but 5 more thieves rush in, overwhelming them. The suspects smash display cases with a baseball bat, snatch jewelry, and flee, all before security guards can stop them. 3 of the 8 suspects have been arrested. 5 remain at large. These scumbags wore masks and gloves. And take a look at this guy's sweatshirt design. Do you recognize it? If so, we want to know. Please send us your tips. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. 2 members in a Chicago-based street gang thought taking a life would earn them respect on the streets. Now we need your help to find this coward, Joseph Matos, so we can put him behind bars where he belongs.
Chris was on a right path in life. He did not deserve this.
Once investigators identified Joseph Matos as the owner of the red vehicle, they quickly determined he was the driver during the shooting. But finding out who allegedly pulled the trigger took more work. Through grainy surveillance footage, cell phone records, and interviewing witnesses, detectives uncovered the alleged shooter, another violent member of the Milwaukee Kings, Gary Roberson.
Carvajal had no ties to any gangs in the city of Chicago. Roberson allegedly shot at Chris Carvajal simply because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. The Kings are notoriously violent. They've been known to shoot first and ask questions later. The shooting was a way for them to either maintain or increase their status within the gang. Charges against Matos and Roberson include a lot of different acts of violence. It was determined that SWAT would be best suited to do these simultaneous hits. While SWAT was getting ready to execute the warrants, Roberson stepped out of his residence and was ultimately taken into custody by the surveillance team. Unfortunately, Matos was not located. He's got a myriad of tattoos to include 1300 on the side of his neck, Heaven Sent, Hell Bound on his arms, and Most Wanted across his belly.
We need justice for Chris. We were very proud of him. We will always be proud of him.
We live 2 blocks from the cemetery, and I talk to him. I pray. And sometimes I feel better, sometimes it's hard. And his letters, he always wrote to me, Mommy, today is Sunday.
My faith and your praise give me strength. I am so proud of myself to be an American soldier. I am so proud to be your son. Thank you for everything.
Joining us now is Tyrone Muhammad, a former gangster disciples leader who served 21 years in state prison, turned his life way around, and is now the executive director for Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change.
Thank you, John Patton.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
You know this case. Generally, what could lead to a situation like this?
In this case, it seemed like a senseless killing.
Do gangs do a random murder like that for street cred, to get credibility on the street?
That does happen. From my understanding of evidence, I'm looking at a mistaken identity.
Yeah.
Where they was looking for someone in that particular area, and I think Chris fit that description.
Yeah.
And that's often how we operate. It's impulsive. We see somebody or we think that's a description, we go into action. And oftentimes you find out later that that was the wrong person. It's rather puzzling to me that it's his own car. It's just because it was too quick, too fast. That was something that Matos and them didn't even expect.
Aha. So they could track him through the car, right?
Absolutely.
Well, how do you think we catch him?
Matos, it would probably come from within his own clique in his own circle. Especially given the fact that now there's a reward out for his arrest.
Someone from his own gang, maybe.
The reward is big enough. It denotes the seriousness.
And I know a lot of bangers watch this show. They watch it to see if their cousin's on it or other gang, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. We've watched it.
Yeah, you watched it. I don't need to know your name, where you live. Just tell me where the dirtbag is and we'll go get him.
Absolutely.
Cal, tell us about this creep.
Joseph Matos is a Latino male, 42 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and about 220 pounds. Carvajal's murder occurred in 2021 in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood of Chicago. He also has contacts in Los Angeles and Bedford, Texas. If you think you recognize someone who fits the description, don't approach him. Call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. The FBI is offering up to $25,000 for information leading to his arrest and conviction. And remember, your tips are anonymous and your identity is protected.
Coming up, a giant of a man with a violent past is accused of murdering his wife in cold blood, and he could be getting help from the people he meets on dating apps. But first, we need your tips to help us with this case. A brazen ATM theft in Toledo, Ohio. Watch as this maroon GMC truck, caught on surveillance video, drives up to the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union carrying suspect number 1. Moments later, suspect number 2 arrives on the scene in a skid steer that was stolen from a nearby construction site. The perp then motions to the truck to loop around, making a critical error in the process, showing their face. But it's hard to make it out, so take a closer look. Watch as the skid steer tries several times to knock the ATM on its side, damaging it in the process. After 90 seconds, the ATM topples over, landing perfectly in the next lane, paving the way for the maroon truck to barrel through, stealing the ATM and all the contents inside. The skid steer was recovered, but these suspects remain at large. If anything here looks familiar to you, call us or go to amwtips.com. More cases after the break. Welcome back. While some fugitives have features that make them easy to identify, like tattoos, for others it's their size. In this case, the bad guy is also a big guy, a 6'6", nearly 300-pound man who's hard to miss, yet somehow he's disappeared. This towering dirtbag is accused of a brutal crime. Investigators say he allegedly murdered his own wife, leaving her family to make the heartbreaking discovery.
In the wee hours of May the 5th at 4 o'clock in the morning, there was a large man acting erratic.
Sir! Hey! Sir! There's somebody in here! Take the door! Listen.
During this incident, Charlotte PD had absolutely no idea that this person had allegedly just killed somebody.
Tanika was a very sociable and outgoing person. She was my godmother. My mom worked, so anytime my mom needed to call her for me and my sister, she was always there. She helped put me through college. She was very, very generous. She'd give you the clothes off her back. She was working at Flowers Baking here in Conover.
That's where she met Donald. That was the big mistake of her life.
Donald was very controlling. I mean, we couldn't even just go out to eat without him coming around.
He kept his eyes on them.
Donald had two sides. To Tanika, he was charming, loving, and supportive. But the family saw the other side of Donald.
I did warn Tanika, but she was already down too deep. Tanika and Donald were only dating for 8 months, and then they got married. I mean, she's a grown woman. She's going to do what she wanted to do, but I was very, very worried.
May the 5th, 2022, her friend called to tell me that Tanika did not come to work. She said, you need to go down there because something is wrong. And so I opened the door and I got to Tanika's room. I said, Tanika, Mama been trying to call you. She didn't say nothing. So when I run around on the side of the bed, that's when I seen the great big hole in her face. And I said, oh my gosh, my baby's dead, my baby's dead.
I just remember pulling up. The house is surrounded by caution tape, police everywhere. I just remember jumping out of the car and just running to my mama and hugging my mama. I feel like the world stopped.
We found a couple different shell casings, and then we realized the whole house was covered under video camera. So this led to a major breakthrough in the investigation. The video revealed that Tanika arrived home from work on the 4th of May. Tanika was never on another video, coming in or leaving from the home. Later on in the night, when we think that the murder took place, Mr. Hodges left in a calculated state. When we took a look at Mr. Hodges' background, it was evident that he was a convicted felon. He had weapons charges, he had assault charges. So when we put all the evidence together, Mr. Hodges was immediately a suspect.
But what investigators didn't know at the time was that 4 hours after Tanika's murder, Donald Hodges had entered a hotel 40 miles south in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Listen, hey, my wallet's out there, man. I got your wallet.
He was acting erratic, scaring hotel employees, seemingly under the influence of drugs.
Why are you sweating so bad, man? No judgment or anything. Have you taken anything tonight? Yes, I have. Okay.
And when first responders on the scene asked him his name, he lied.
When law enforcement on site took a look in his wallet, they discovered his Social Security card. And that's when they discovered his name was... During this incident, Charlotte PD had absolutely no idea that this person had allegedly just killed somebody.
Donald Hodges is still on the run, and authorities need your help to track him down. Now, he's 6'6", 273 pounds, with a muscular build. He's bald, has brown eyes, and typically sports a beard. Hodges has distinctive tattoos, including an OG on his chest. Now, coming up, investigators discover the way this scumbag might be getting help while he's on the run by using dating apps. This guy could be lurking in somebody's inbox right now. But before the break, we need your help solving this case. The nationwide manhunt rages on for a Texas man accused of opening fire at a popular sports bar, injuring 3 people. It all allegedly began when 48-year-old Larice Evans, seen here in green, gets into a fight with not 1, not 2, but 3 security guards. A few hours later, Evans returns, now dressed in all black, but this time he's armed. The suspect fires 6 shots at close range, striking 3 people, including a security guard. When an off-duty deputy attempts to intervene, Evans allegedly turns and fires back, thankfully missing. Luckily, all 3 gunshot victims survived. Larice Evans is 6 feet tall, weighing 180 pounds. He has distinctive tattoos, including 2 on his forearms, 1 reading Hood, and the other Rich. If you have any information about him, call us or go to our site. Let's get these dirtbags. Welcome back. When Charlotte Mecklenburg police responded to a disturbance at a hotel, they didn't realize they were staring down a violent suspect, Donald Hodges, a man who allegedly killed his wife just hours earlier. Now this dirtbag, who's facing first-degree murder charges, is on the run.
And investigators have uncovered how Hodges might be staying one step ahead by using dating apps.
When law enforcement entered a hotel in Charlotte, they discovered Donald Hodges.
I feel like I'm about to pass out.
He told the first responders that he wasn't sober and wanted help. He was escorted to an ambulance and taken to Atrium Medical Center. Well, it wasn't long, and he decided that he was going to leave.
After a month of no leads, Conover Police Department believed Hodges had fled the area. So they contacted the U.S. Marshals Service to assist with the case.
As we started looking into Donald Hodges' life, we did uncover several dating websites that he had used before the homicide. Some of the dating profiles are known gay sites, so we know that he had almost like a chameleon effect, where he could blend in and meet people and make new friends very easily, and he used that to his advantage to take advantage of other people. As part of our investigation, we interviewed Hodges' previous girlfriend. We learned that during their relationship, he was abusive.
There were 2 sides to Donald. He was sweet, genuine, caring, loving guy. He paid my bills, he cooked, he cleaned. And then he'll turn into a demon. He strangled me, putting knives to my throat, telling me that if I ever tell anybody, I would never see my children again.
After ending the relationship in July of 2019, Monique placed a protective order against Donald, where she detailed his heinous abuse. While in court, Monique came face to face with the new woman in Donald's life, Tanika.
The last and final court date, I went to her and I shook her hand. She shook my hand extremely hard and placed her other hand on top of it. And she just stared, and then she let my hand go, and that was it. It was as if she was saying, I know exactly what you were going through. Donald is pure evil. Bringing Donald to justice would be everything to me.
He needs to pay for what he did. It would take all this pain away. All of it.
Tanika meant everything to me. I want justice for her and to know that we didn't give up.
Someone knows Donald Hodges. Someone has seen him. Someone is engaged with him. We did uncover that Donald Hodges was not active on any of his known dating profiles after Tanika's murder.
But we believe that Donald Hodges is still using dating websites to meet both men and women.
Possibly using a catfish method where he posts someone else's picture to his profile in order to evade capture.
We need the public to be vigilant because he is dangerous and he is out there.
We're joined now by Nev Schulman, an expert on people who misrepresent themselves in online relationships. In fact, he documented his own experience of being deceived online that led to the hit TV show Catfish. With your expertise and knowledge in social media, why do you think Hodges is allegedly using these dating apps to stay on the run?
Social media provides a perfect landscape for him to not only make new connections in any city or town he might choose to go to, but also establish emotional connections with people to then prey on their vulnerability and get them to help him out. So we know that Hodges is very good at winning people over. And unfortunately for Tanika, she learned the hard way that he can't be trusted.
What are some of the red flags that you've seen where people make connections to people they don't really know?
Let's start with something called love bombing. Oftentimes in new online relationships, people will very quickly give a lot of attention to this person in an effort to really get them to fall in love with them. Conversely, if someone's avoiding meeting up or talking on the phone or FaceTiming for too long, that's also a red flag.
Right.
What happened with me was I met a family through MySpace, ended up developing a romantic interest in the older sister. And what we discovered was that the 14 different profiles with whom I'd been speaking were actually all the creation of one woman.
All 14?
Yeah. She had created this entire world to communicate with me and escape her reality. People who are looking to get your sympathy and attention will come up with big stories about how they're sick. They get you to then feel sorry for them, and oftentimes that then leads to money, which is the last big red flag. Once they see that you're willing to send money, then they start asking for more, and the asks get bigger.
Sort of testing the waters with these low sums. The next thing you know, it's a few $1,000s.
And if you say no, you probably won't hear from them again. But if you say yes, they'll just keep coming back.
If someone sees Hodges, what should they do?
They should report on the platform the profile in question.
If see something, say something, doesn't it just apply to the real world?
No, yeah, absolutely. Online, it's really important that if you do see something suspicious, you report it.
Great advice. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks
a bunch. Hodges is on the move. Let's take a closer look. It starts in Conover, North Carolina, where he allegedly murdered his wife. Hodges may have moved north to Philly, where he has family. And there's New York City. Hodges reportedly brags about being from there and has family in that area as well. Take a look at him. Donald Hodges is 6'6", 273 pounds with a muscular build. He's bald, has brown eyes, and typically sports a beard. U.S. Marshals are offering a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to his arrest and conviction. If you spot him, call us at 1-866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com.
Coming up, an important update on a case we brought you 4 years ago involving a missing girl, a mother on the run, and a grieving father desperate for answers. You don't want to miss what's next. Welcome back. Elizabeth Smart. You know her as a child abduction survivor. She was taken in 2002, held for 9 long months, and then went on to testify against her captors, which led to their convictions. Well, she's here to help us with a major break in a case we started tracking 4 years ago. It's a case that has haunted a father for years. His daughter, McKenna Butcher, was just 11 years old when she vanished, allegedly taken by a person meant to protect her, her mother.
The mother, Jennifer Settle, allegedly defied a judge's custody ruling, then disappeared without a trace, leaving McKenna's father desperate for answers.
Jennifer and I first met in 2005. We hit it off very well. She knew what she wanted in life, and we both agreed we'd like about 3 children if we could. So eventually we get married.
He adored her. This was his first marriage, and he had waited his whole life for her.
Jennifer got pregnant with McKenna very early. I love children, so we were both very happy. But after a few months, she started to change mentally.
She was very jealous and possessive. Jennifer insisted that Michael distance himself from any other female in his life.
A lot of these things are just not normal behavior, but you get sucked in because you try to do things to keep her happy. When McKenna came along, Jennifer was very protective.
Jennifer was very controlling. If she needed to hand something to McKenna, she would not allow me to do that. She insisted that McKenna must see it coming from her hand.
In 2008, when McKenna is only 8 months old, Jennifer separates from Michael and takes McKenna to live in Greenville, South Carolina.
I received a phone call from Jennifer announcing that she was moving herself and McKenna back to her parents in Greenville because we were running out of money and I had done nothing to provide for the family.
Jennifer convinced us that he was a danger to both her and McKenna.
She had to paint a picture of me as being abusive, as being manipulating, as being a liar. This gave her the excuse of why she'd undertaken the actions that she had.
She took McKenna and ran. She didn't want any child support because she said, no way, because that makes it so that he can come see her. He can get visitation.
She would not allow her child to go to school. McKenna was not allowed to have any other friends. Her mother was her only friend.
She stopped communicating with me so I could have no interaction with my daughter.
8 years passed before Michael was able to arrange supervised visits with McKenna. But to keep them, in 2019, he went to the authorities for help.
Michael took Jennifer to court because he wanted to see his daughter. He was eventually granted visitation rights, but Jennifer was not going to have that. The court determined that Jennifer was an unfit parent for McKenna. The judge was going to give total custody to Michael.
Jennifer had failed to show up at the court hearing. Based on that, an arrest warrant was issued by the family court.
Jennifer has torn our family apart. She took McKenna away from all of us.
It's been years now since I've seen my daughter. McKenna doesn't know that she's been brainwashed and mentally abused all these years, and I wanted to protect her from that. I've lost a child, and she's going to come back now as an adult. I would never held her hand or helped her across the road or, done all the things that dads do.
She's not had a normal life, and she's been cheated out of so many rich relationships. It's been heartbreaking.
I just want to see my daughter again.
Here to talk about the new lead and what it could mean in this heartbreaking case is someone who knows firsthand the horror of a child abduction, Elizabeth Smart. Beautiful lady, it's always great to see you. I always say the same thing, you're the bravest woman I ever met. And you helped bring back 2 kids last year.
Like, how amazing is it that we got to be a part of that? Camilla and Luisito were both found, and isn't that the miracle that we hope happens for every family who comes on this show?
Well, you were such a wonderful help and great working with you, but this is a heartbreaking case. How might Jennifer be keeping McKenna under wraps and under her control?
It is her mother, first off. I mean, I think as a child, you just naturally have faith and trust in your parents right from the get-go. I think of my own case, my captors controlled me within a matter of months. And if she has been homeschooling her and really grooming her all of this time, she's had a lifetime to control her.
McKenna is 17 now, but it's going to be harder to control this girl, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be harder. If McKenna has a strong bond with her father and she remembers her father in a positive light, she remembers him being there for her, loving her, protecting her, I think those memories will win out.
Right. It's a big search for this mother. How do you think she's staying out there so long?
So she does have marketable skills. She could work on cars. She has ability in construction.
And we learned that they were into horses beforehand.
Maybe that's one of her controls over McKenna is, I'm going to buy you this horse, but I need to make sure you're following the rules.
She could be working on a ranch to afford those horses. So we want people in the horse world to take a good look at this mother.
She's also very capable at manipulating other people's emotions. So it could be through boyfriends, intimate partners. It could also be through church.
She could be that poor, downtrodden mother with a child.
Exactly.
If McKenna's watching now, doesn't really know she's missing or anything, what would you tell her?
I hope she knows that there is millions of people who are looking for her and want to see her come home, want to see her in her rightful place. Everyone who watches this show, I hope they will take action if they see something suspicious. Miracles happen every day. Why not today?
Why not today? Cal.
The images we have of McKenna are back from when she was a child. McKenna would be 17 now, so take a good look at this new age progression of what she may look like today. We know she has blue eyes and brown hair. She was allegedly taken by her mother, Jennifer Settle, from Taylor, South Carolina in 2019. She has family in Greenville, South Carolina, but as we've just learned, she sold her vehicle to a man in a rural area outside Bozeman, Montana, so she could be living there with McKenna in that area. Settle has also lived in Tennessee, Colorado, and New Mexico, and has contacts in Maryland. Back to you, Dad.
Elizabeth, we're going to be seeing a lot more of you because we've got exciting news we want to share with you right now. Our mission just got a whole lot bigger. We're adding a brand new show to the AMW family. It all starts next week, right here on Fox. Take a look.
There is absolutely still hope that he's out there, that he's alive.
America's Most Wanted, Missing Persons, is coming next week.
Do you think it's a possibility she doesn't even know that she's a missing child?
And we need your help to bring the missing home to their loved ones.
That's why we're doing this. If we can help one family, it might make sense of it.
Next Monday on Fox at 8/7 Central, before an all-new America's Most Wanted. There's somebody out there that needs to be asked some hard questions.
We'll be right back. Let's recap some of our cases and the fugitives who need to be caught. Joseph Matos, or as he calls himself, Troubles, has tattoos that literally spell out Most Wanted. The FBI is offering up to $25,000 for the tip that puts him behind bars.
Donald Hodges, this oversized lowlife, is 6'6", 273 pounds, and allegedly is using his charm and possibly dating apps to manipulate people into giving him shelter and money. He also has distinctive tattoos, including OG on his chest. U.S. Marshals are offering a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to his arrest and conviction.
And finally, take another good look at this age progression of McKenna Butcher. She would be 17 years old today. She has blue eyes, brown hair, and was last seen in South Carolina in 2019 when her mother, Jennifer, allegedly took her and vanished. We've now learned Jennifer sold her vehicle to a man outside Bozeman, Montana.
If you have any information, don't wait. Call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or visit amwtips.com.
Now, before we go, let's take a quick look ahead to next week and a fugitive we're hunting for. It was a brutal crime with a fiery end. A woman is found dead in her apartment, but the flames can't hide the truth. Now the hunt is on for her boyfriend, who allegedly turned their romance into a deadly nightmare.
Thank you for watching. I'm Callahan Walsh. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
And I'm John Walsh. Remember, you can make a difference. This dirtbag's a real bad guy. He's got to go down.
Let's do it.
I'm John Walsh, and I've dedicated my entire life to locking up the worst criminals. We're tracking down one of the most ruthless gangs of lawbreakers we've ever gone after. My son Callahan and I are fired up. With your help, we're coming for fugitives, hunting them down, and putting them right where they belong, behind bars, including these that you'll see tonight. First, she called for help, but within 24 hours, she was gone. A young mother of 4 shot to death in her own home. Now the manhunt is on for her husband, veteran Aaron Pennington. Then, he was a butcher, a master of the craft. But police say his talent with a knife took a terrifying turn. We're on the hunt for Renato Yedra Braceno. Finally, a ruthless crew of thieves stalking celebrities online and ransacking their homes for luxury loot. Tonight, Atlanta's own Lil Jon is in studio with us to help break down a dangerous bling ring and catch the one who got away, Karwan Mohammed. America's Most Wanted is the original true crime series, and we're back. You can run, but you can't hide. Hello, I'm John Walsh, and this is America's Most Wanted. Tonight, we're back on the hunt for the most dangerous fugitives wherever they're hiding.
And I'm Callahan Walsh. We just kicked off a brand new season, and the pursuit of justice is already in full swing.
We're fired up as ever, bringing you a new lineup of cases in the search for low-life fugitives, including one from a notorious Atlanta area crime ring. Stepping in to join the fight tonight, we've got a special guest, Grammy-winning rapper and born and raised in Atlanta, Lil Jon. He's here to help us break down this case in his hometown.
It's a team effort at AMW. Alongside our investigators, we have the FBI, U.S. Marshals, and local and state police all standing by. But you continue to be our greatest partner. Since 1988, your tips have helped us nab 1,198 suspected criminals. And remember, when you call or go to our website, your identity will be protected.
Every tip, every second counts, because no matter how far fugitives run, one thing is certain. You can run, but you can't hide. Let's settle up.
Our first case is a heartbreaking reminder that domestic violence can often be a race against time.
It's been nearly 2 years since a devoted mother of 4 was brutally murdered at her home in Gardner, Massachusetts. What makes this case so tragic is that Breezy Pennington, just before her death, reportedly called police to tell them she was having trouble in her marriage and that she feared for her safety. Now her husband, Aaron Pennington, the prime suspect in her murder, is on the run.
Is he considered a suspect or a person of interest?
He's considered armed and dangerous and a person that we want to find.
This is one of the strangest cases for a nice town like Gardner. It was shocking.
They were so good at masking, it was hard to tell that there was all this chaos going on behind the scenes.
She was going to take the kids and bring them down to Texas. She ran out of town.
She was beautiful, and she loved her children, and she didn't deserve to die. My niece Brianne came into this world so loved, and she just loved running on her horse with that long blonde hair blowing in the wind. So we called her Breezy, and Breezy was very active in our church. In 2012 at church, this tall blonde boy walks in, and Brianne said, "That one is mine." His name was Aaron Pennington.
And just 7 months later, 20-year-old Breezy and 22-year-old Aaron were married in the Mormon church.
After their first child was born, Aaron decided to join the Air Force. They were stationed in Okinawa, Japan. They had 2 more children, and in the early years, they were so happy. But I do believe in Okinawa was the start of some trouble for them. Aaron was really struggling at this point. You know, there was depression. He was never that military type of man's man.
In 2021, Aaron was discharged from the Air Force and transitioned back to civilian life.
He obtained a job with a defense contractor in Massachusetts. They found a new church community.
I got to know the Penningtons when they moved into the area as they attended our church. Aaron mentioned to me that depression ran in his family. During our conversations, there was a darkness. He spent all the time talking to me about his worries and his anxieties. He was just worried because his wife was into tarot cards and getting tattoos. Those aren't necessarily bad, but they were separating her from the religion. He worked at a few different jobs, but then he wasn't taking care of himself mentally and physically, and so he quit those jobs.
The bills were coming in and not being paid. There was a lot of fighting.
The Gardner police logged a number of incidences at the Pennington house. They ranged from Aaron acting erratically to Brianne's concerns for his mental health.
Brianne had decided that she was leaving.
You're staying here. We're staying here.
The marriage was over.
In early October of 2023, Aaron went to visit family in California.
He was obsessively calling, texting. He wanted her to take him back. That was never going to happen. She left messages with a friend talking about her fear and that she had decided to leave
and take the children to Texas to be closer to her grandparents. But on October 20th, Aaron was flying home. She was scared that he was just out of his mind, and so she called Gardner Police about whether she wanted a restraining order.
Breezy then left a panicked audio message for a friend.
I've told Aaron 1,000,000 times, do not show up here. You need to get help. I do not feel safe. You're not welcome.
A little more than 24 hours later, and she was dead.
Got another one. My neighbor's kids have come over to my house scared. They don't know where their dad is, and they're trying to get a hold of their mom. They can't get into her bedroom.
I got a call. One of the neighbors next door to the Penningtons said that the children had showed up on the doorstep. We then go in the house asking, Breezy, where are you? Is anyone here? Breezy? So we just try the door, and the knob turns, but there was a dresser right there. I remember seeing Breezy laying in the bed with her head facing away.
There's a woman in the bed. She's hurt. Okay. I'm not sure exactly how hurt, but there's blood. Hold on 1 second.
It was a violent scene. It appeared to be an execution. My first question was, where is Aaron Pennington?
Aaron Pennington is 34 years old, has blonde hair, blue eyes, is 6 feet 2 inches tall, and weighs about 175 pounds. He's an Air Force veteran and a skilled mechanic, so it's possible he could be working in aviation or automotive repair. He was also a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. So there's two communities, veterans and members of the Mormon Church, and it's possible folks in these groups could be helping him out. If you recognize this fugitive, don't approach him. Pennington is considered armed and dangerous. Call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com.
Coming up, police uncover a smoking gun and trace the final steps of Aaron Pennington. And later, authorities accuse a butcher of brutally murdering his girlfriend, then setting her apartment on fire to cover up his crime. Plus, a ruthless gang uses social media to target celebrities and rob their homes, terrorizing the community. Atlanta's own Lil Jon helps us dig into this wild story. But first, we need your tips to help us close this case. Take a good look. The year-long manhunt continues for Jonathan Baez Perez, who's wanted for allegedly shooting a man 9 times at the Carniceria La Tuna Market in Enid, Oklahoma. Police say the confrontation began when Baez Perez, seen in white, approached Cesar Gomez outside this grocery store. Their argument quickly escalated until a friend stepped in to break up the fight. But the beef isn't over. As Baez Perez returns to his vehicle, still upset, Gomez approaches and kicks the car door, which is flung open as Baez Perez allegedly opens fire from the passenger seat, hitting Gomez in the hand and torso. Watch as Baez Perez makes his escape behind the vehicle as Gomez clutches his gunshot wounds. Luckily, Gomez survived. Baez Perez is 24 years old, 5'6" tall, weighing 140 pounds. Authorities say he has a prior felony gun conviction and may have fled to his home state of Jalisco, Mexico, and they're offering a $5,000 reward for his capture. If you recognize him, contact us immediately. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Authorities are searching for Aaron Pennington, the man they suspect of murdering his own wife, Breezy, just as she was preparing to leave him. As investigators dig deeper, they uncover a disturbing relationship and a chilling call for help.
My brother called me. He said Breezy's been murdered, and I had to have him repeat it 3 times. She was in the safety of her own bed.
It appeared that Aaron Pennington had barricaded the door to the bedroom, had allegedly killed his wife, Breanne Pennington, exited the house by jumping out of a second-floor window. And now he was nowhere to be found. We didn't find a gun at the scene, but we did find Aaron's cell phone.
That cell phone contained a note that Aaron apparently wrote to himself.
Don't say anything. Be quiet. If she wakes up, just say you're getting nasal spray. Get on side of bed, very close proximity to head. Put hole in her head. And that is the smoking gun.
We are currently looking for Aaron Pennington. He is considered to be armed and dangerous. He is driving a white BMW.
Surveillance video from a house across the street showed Aaron Pennington's white BMW leaving their residence at about 8:50 in the morning.
Monday, October 23rd, Aaron's vehicle was located at Camp Collier in Gardner. A hunter found the vehicle. It appears that the car got stuck. It's not really an area that you would drive to. Suspicious. Literally, it feels like he just disappeared.
I felt like I was trying to help him and that my efforts fell on their face. I felt betrayed. It was hard to reckon with. I never knew if I even talked to the real Aaron. If Aaron's still out there, I would encourage him to turn himself in.
I know he's out there. I know he is. I think about Breezy every single day. I want to kiss her cheeks and tell her I'm so sorry. I will never stop loving you. There's nothing that will ever change how much I love you.
Folks in the military, even veterans, can have complicated issues in their family lives. So we wanted to talk to someone who had firsthand insight into that world. Josh White is a veteran, a podcaster, and an influential voice in the Air Force community. Josh, thanks for being here.
Sir, it is my honor. From one veteran who serves this country to another, I want to thank you, sir. When folks like me are deployed, we know our families are safe because we have someone like you out there watching over us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for your service. Aaron Pennington, he was an airman, you're an airman.
Yes, sir.
How do you compare your service with his?
So with Aaron's service, the biggest overlap is probably the fact that we both worked on the Kadena Air Base flight line in Okinawa, Japan. With that comes 12-hour shifts.
Right.
You have to be alert at all times, your attention to detail at an all-time high with zero room for error.
The stress of being in another country. My dad, who was my hero, 15 medals in World War II, was stationed on Okinawa. He flew a B-24, almost shot down several times. Returning to civilian life is tough, isn't it?
Being away from your family, being overseas, especially being a young, newer airman. I was always warned of the culture shock of going to Japan, going to another country. But I'll tell you, the culture shock was actually the return back to the United States. It kind of felt like I had to, keep looking over my shoulder. There was a sense of unease.
There's so much traumatic stress syndrome these days. And his wife was pulling away from the Mormon church. That probably added to the stress.
If you are not mentally prepared, emotionally prepared for something like that, it can certainly catch you off guard.
Looking at this case, what do you think could have been done differently?
With Aaron specifically, those red flags were probably there for many years. People probably saw them over and over again. And unfortunately, he did not have the intervention he needed at the time. When we see those red flags and we ignore them and say, they'll figure it out, they'll get better, it's not the right answer.
No.
I think we need to normalize asking for help.
What if he was watching tonight?
I'd say, Aaron, I've been in your shoes. I know firsthand the pressure and the anxiety that comes with a mission like that. I understand what it's like to be a father and a husband and to feel the pressure of supporting them. But I also understand that he joined with the values that all airmen join with. Integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do.
Right.
And I know at some point in his life, those meant something to him. So I would tell him to tap back into that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Want to thank you for all the kind words. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Let's take another look at Aaron Pennington. He's 34 years old, has blonde hair, blue eyes, is about 6 feet 2 inches tall, and weighs about 175 pounds. Pennington has been on the run for over a year, and he's left quite a trail behind him. His wife, Breezy, was found dead in their Gardner, Massachusetts home in 2023. The following day, police found the car they believe Pennington was driving at a nearby campground. A search there and at a nearby lake turned up no sign of him. Pennington also has ties to Southern California, specifically the Inland Empire, where his father lives. We also know Aaron was a faithful member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, so it's worth mentioning he could be hiding where there's a large Mormon community like Salt Lake City. If you've seen someone who fits the description, be very cautious. Pennington is considered armed and dangerous.
Coming up, she thought she knew the guy she was dating, an award-winning butcher. But police claim his talent turned deadly. Then, an Atlanta area gang uses social media to track celebrities and rob their homes. To help us out, Atlanta's own Lil Jon will join us. But first, we need your help with this case. Authorities in Washington state are looking for this woman, Seattle's serial bank robber. She's connected to at least 6 bank robberies in 6 months and accused of stealing thousands of dollars from banks all over Seattle. This first heist was at a U.S. bank where she passes a note demanding money. The teller hands her hundreds of dollars and she calmly leaves the bank. Here she is on January 3rd, 2025, this time at a Home Street bank, passing a similar note to a bank teller. She walks away with a stack of cash, seen here in the bank's parking lot. Then, just last month, she robs another Home Street bank, but this time she flashes a gun at the teller. The suspect is described as an Asian female, 20 years old, 5 foot 4 inches tall. If you're in the Seattle area and recognize her, call us now. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This next case is about a butcher who won recognition in meat cutting competitions all around the world. He had the awards, the reputation, and by all accounts, an incredible girlfriend. But it was a love story that would turn deadly.
Veronica was fun. She was young and free, and you can tell that she will always be surrounded by friends and family. Me and Veronica have been always very close. We grew up in Italy. Because Veronica was older than me, she wanted to protect me. It was 2 of us against the world.
In 2012, Hillary moved to the North Beach section of San Francisco, where her sister Veronica would join her 2 years later.
North Beach, it's the Italian area of San Francisco. Lots of Italian restaurants, bar, you can drink a coffee like Italians do. Veronica and Hillary, they were definitely best friends. We saw each other every day, I would say, yes.
When I had my son Gabriele, Veronica immediately fell in love with him. She wanted to be in his life.
Happy birthday to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, belly.
Bye-bye.
Veronica and my husband both ended up working at the butcher shop, and there was a man there. He was always in charge to cut the meat. He was a shy person, not someone that would initiate a conversation.
Renato Yedra Braceno was living in San Francisco after a childhood spent learning the butcher trade in Mexico City. He won several prestigious butchery contests, even representing Mexico in butcher competitions.
Veronica and Renato started dating, but they were trying to keep their relationship low profile.
Honestly, I didn't like him very much. He was distant. About a year into their relationship, they had a fight. Renato got very jealous that my sister got this text from an old friend. She didn't like his reaction.
We didn't socialize with Renato and Veronica. They only came once. It was Christmas Day. Renato and Veronica were having some issues. Definitely some tension, for sure.
About a week later, she came over to our house on New Year's Eve. I was very pregnant at that time, and there was something off.
She was trying to hide it from her sister. But then later she started telling me things that we didn't know until that. She got pregnant. Then she lost the baby. She was worried about Renato being upset. I'd get a feeling that she was scared of them at that time.
She never told me because I was pregnant and because she didn't want to put stress on me and being worried.
Just 2 weeks later, Hillary went into labor with her second child.
My contractions started at 2 a.m. Veronica was supposed to come to stay with Gabriele home while we were going to the hospital.
We started calling Veronica and we didn't get any answer. We need to figure out something else. And then we head to the hospital. At 8 a.m. in the morning, Hillary was getting ready to have the baby. And I have this phone call. On the other side was Veronica's neighbor telling me that something happened very bad to Veronica. He told me the apartment was on fire. And he told me Veronica's dead.
The fire department arrived on scene at 8 in the morning. They observed a female on the ground, burnt to a crisp. She had a gash or slice almost from ear to ear across her neck. They could immediately recognize this was likely a homicide.
Not only did this scumbag allegedly take the life of Veronica Donito, the fire put an entire apartment building filled with occupants at risk. We're talking about an alleged murder and arson. Please, we need your help to locate Yedra Briseno, the prime suspect. Take a good look. Yedra Briseno is 40 years old, a Latino male. He usually wears his hair in a ponytail, but he may cut it shorter to alter his appearance. He also has a distinctive peak in his hairline and his left ear is pierced. And check out these renderings of Briseno's tattoos, created by the U.S. Marshal Service for America's Most Wanted. He has a DF on the left side of his chest, and his entire back is covered with a large angel skeleton.
Coming up, the trail of evidence and surveillance video leads police to their #1 suspect. Plus, a string of home invasions and burglaries has an Atlanta community on edge. But first, we need your help solving this case. Authorities in Houston are on the lookout for this man, accused of brazenly robbing 2 local businesses in a matter of minutes. First, at the Lucky Convenience Store in the 8900 block of South Braeswood Boulevard, the suspect demands money. It appears he has his hand in his waistband, possibly to signal a threat that he has a weapon. Watch as the suspect grabs the register and opens it himself, while the cashier tries to stop him from grabbing hundreds of dollars in cash. Money in hand, he leaves to his next heist. 5 minutes later, and a half a mile away, this scumbag then attempts to rob a grocery store. But this time, the clerk doesn't give him a dime. He exits the store empty-handed, but luckily surveillance cameras catch his face. Take a look. The suspect is a white male, early 40s. He was seen wearing a gray shirt, orange shorts with a Texas Longhorn logo on the bottom left, and a Texas A&M Aggies gray hat. He could be using a beard as a disguise. If you recognize this man, send us your tips. And remember, you can make a difference. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Veronica Donito's life was cut short in a savage attack. Her family was shattered. As if her loss wasn't painful enough, they got the devastating news on a day that should have been one of the happiest of their lives.
On Friday, January 15th of 2021, officers received a report of a structure fire. Fire department observed a female with a large gash across her neck. One of the neighbors informed the detectives that There was conversation taking place. They were familiar with the voice as being Renato, the boyfriend of the victim. At that point, Renato became a possible suspect in this homicide.
I had Maya, so I turned to Mariano, and he had this very, very worried face. So in that moment, it was like, something's wrong.
At that time, I was really in shock. I don't know what to do. And then I just, tell Hillary that Veronica was just not with us anymore.
I was holding my brand new daughter, Maya, when Mariano told me that my sister was killed. And I don't think I realized it like right away. And they took the baby away from me. And then I don't remember much after that.
In this investigation of the homicide, cell phone records showed Renato at the scene of the crime within the time frame of we believe when it happened. An ignitable liquid was found within the carpet around the body, which detectives believe to be gasoline. Video surveillance from the local gas station revealed Renato had purchased a red gas canister approximately half hour before the 911 call from dispatch. Cell phone records showed he traveled to Crocker Amazon Park, where we located a vehicle in which we observed a red gas canister along with a large butcher knife, which revealed DNA belonging to the victim. Renato was observed enter a nearby vehicle, which belonged to an uncle. Renato and his uncle drove from Daly City to the U.S.-Mexico border on the same day of the homicide.
I think about her every day, and there's so much in my daughter that reminds me of her. Renato took so much away from me. You don't want people like this to be out on the street.
The way that he did all these things, I don't think he deserved to. Being free, you need to have justice.
It's just not right. Having to remember every single birthday of my daughter, it's too much. Sorry.
To help us understand what motivated this fugitive is Dr. Leslie Dobson, a forensic psychologist and podcaster who spent nearly 2 decades analyzing the minds of some very violent people. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
As a forensic psychologist, what do you think's going on?
I definitely think he shows this callous nature. The way that he killed her, cutting her neck, is so graphic and horrifying that you have to be detached from your emotions.
Right, a sociopath, but incompetent.
I think he was in panic mode.
Yeah.
And then, as you can see in the video, he actually buys gasoline to bring back to her apartment to burn the apartment down and hide the crime scene.
But he returned to the crime scene, which shows that the arson wasn't premeditated.
Yes, there was anger and he wanted to cover his tracks. Yep. This wasn't planned out because the police still find her and they can identify her. So I'm thinking this individual is very impulsive.
Yeah, you know as well as I do how dangerous he is.
100%.
Do you think he's been carrying on his career while he's been on the run?
I think he identifies as a butcher. He has awards of being such a great butcher and very comfortable with knives.
And we heard that he's got family in the restaurant business in Mexico.
Yes, so he'd be in the back of a restaurant. He would be in the back of some place in charge of the meat, but still using his skill set in some way.
So I say to people all the time, if you're eating in a restaurant, just keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
People were sitting in a restaurant, an Irish pub, watching America's Most Wanted. We had profiled the guy that was working in a kitchen in a restaurant, and they made the call to us and to 911, and he got captured.
It's amazing.
So we need to tell people to be on the lookout.
Yes.
If you could talk to him for 2 seconds, what would you say?
A little girl's birthday will forever be associated with this alleged crime. turn yourself in. Give them emotional justice.
I know very much. I've walked in the shoes of that family waiting for justice.
Right? It's called ambiguous grief, where we lose a limb, but we still feel like it's there. We lose a family member, but we don't know who did it exactly. We want justice, and then we can grieve.
End some of the pain of this family.
Yes.
Well, thank you for all the great advice. Thanks for being here. And hopefully something you said will get somebody to make that call. Thank you.
Cal, let's take a look at the trail investigators are following. After the fire was extinguished, the body of Veronica DeNito was discovered in her apartment in Daly City, California. Shortly after, the suspect's phone connected to a cell tower in San Francisco, where investigators later located his abandoned car. Then, investigators tracked a family member driving Yedra Briseno across the border into Mexico, where he reportedly has family in Mexico City, some who work in the restaurant business. Authorities say he may have connections in Alabama as well. Veronica's family is desperate for answers and for justice. If you have any information on Yedra Briseno's whereabouts, call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or go to our site, amwtips.com.
Coming up, an Atlanta gang used social media to stalk and rob wealthy celebrities. Now, one of the lowlifes in this criminal posse is still out there. To help us unpack this case, rapper, Grammy-winning icon Lil Jon will join us right here. So stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. It was a high-stakes crime spree in one of Atlanta's wealthiest neighborhoods. Celebrities targeted, homes ransacked, luxury items stolen, and one innocent victim shot. Law enforcement took down most of this dangerous bling ring, but one of these dirtbags is still out there. We'll talk about all this with rapper Lil Jon in a moment. But first, take a look.
Sandy Springs is generally one of the more affluent, nicer places to live inside of the greater Atlanta area. Celebrities, athletes, when they're looking to put down roots in Atlanta, Sandy Springs is one of the top places they'll go.
Here in Sandy Springs, from 2021 to 2022, we noticed an uptick in home invasions.
Authorities learned the burglaries were all tied to a group of violent criminals known as the Drug Rich Gang.
These criminals, they did their homework.
This group would monitor social media pages for their targets, seeing whether or not somebody was home.
In July of 2022, the gang hit Real Housewives of Atlanta star Marlo Hampton's house while she was vacationing in Toronto. And the gang didn't stop there. After singer Mariah Carey posted pictures to social media, the drug-rich gang broke into her multi-million-dollar home in Sandy Springs, stealing some of her most prized possessions.
They took a Kobe Bryant jersey, custom microphone, designer clothing. The value of items taken from Mariah Carey was over $1 million.
As the gang continued terrorizing the city, 1 month later, they targeted another house.
Multiple individuals that are armed, wearing ski masks, kick the door in.
But this time, things turned violent. Surprised to find a house sitter, these lowlifes shot the person, then fled in a panic. Luckily, the victim in that home survived. But as for the thieves, their luck was running out.
With the help of surveillance cameras, we were able to get the license plate number off the suspect vehicle. That is when the dominoes started to fall. One of the men that was in the car, we started to question him.
That scumbag rolled on his co-conspirators. And that's when police learned the gang's alleged leader was Jeremy Caldwell, a convicted criminal from Atlanta with a rap sheet that included burglary and weapons charges.
Through this investigation, we are able to see they were researching their targets. They were logging on to various real estate websites to see the layout of the home. In my 12 years of prosecution, I have not seen an organization as sophisticated in their planning. But this gang was playing with fire. Even though during the crime they may be wearing ski masks, they had no problem showing off on social media the items that were taken. That was part of their downfall.
I obtained a source. That source gave me information when the home invasion was going to occur. And through the source, they now were headed to South Florida to hit an NFL player who plays with the Miami Dolphins, and he lives close to the water.
But before their big score, these hoodlums had the bright idea to party on a yacht. As they popped their champagne, little did they know they were about to get popped.
Miami Metro-Dade staked the place out, and they apprehended Mr. Caldwell and one of the stolen watches valued over $100,000.
We ultimately indicted 28 people. The organization itself included dozens more.
The arrest of these highly sophisticated criminals made a dent in the drug-rich gang who stole millions from the peaceful community of Sandy Springs.
Mr. Caldwell had a small army of men that he used to do these home invasions.
And detectives are still on the hunt for a man named Karwan Mohammed, whose car was used in the Mariah Carey home invasion. This is the last piece of the puzzle to put an end to the gang's reign of terror.
We were doing everything to get these criminals arrested and off the street.
We're joined now by a music icon who's synonymous with Atlanta, who helped shape the sound of the city. Beyond music, his influence runs deep by bringing a voice to the most important stories in the community. Lil Jon,
thank you.
Welcome to America's Most Wanted.
Legend! It's great to be here, guys. What's up, brother?
Thanks for being here.
I've been a fan of America's Most Wanted since the very, very beginning. And like for me, I want to understand what makes people think they can get away with this stuff.
Right. Are you familiar with the Sandy Springs area?
Yes, I'm very familiar with pretty much all of Atlanta. I'm born and raised. This is the place you call home, the place you think is safe. You could leave your door unlocked, and now things like this are happening, and you're more alert. And
it was a hell of a wake-up call, wasn't it?
Yes, it is.
Many of the victims probably didn't even realize it, but they're putting out all this information in just a single social media post.
Right. It made us kind of be like, wow, like, okay, I need to watch what I'm posting. Maybe I won't even say where I'm going. And people kind of were really on guard.
I mean, this isn't over. I mean, people are still nervous, aren't they?
People are definitely still nervous because it wasn't just one type of celebrity. It wasn't just a rapper. It was all type athletes, all types of people were targeted in these crimes. And it just kind of put a little fear in the city and not knowing who they were going to get next.
You know, we've had a pretty good track record, America's Most Wanted. We've caught 1,200 guys in 45 countries. Wow. But what's it going to take to catch this guy? He's the last one left.
Just think it's just going to take one brave person to just step up and help to get this guy off the street so this doesn't happen to anyone else again.
Absolutely.
He's probably just had his head down, but eventually they all slip up.
You're right on that. This will be the last guy to catch. You know, you got to tell me, turn it down for what? What is it? Everybody wants to know what it means.
Turn down for what means like when the party's almost over and someone's like, yeah, are you going home? Go home for what? Or like, stop, slow down for what? No, we're going to keep going. We're going to turn it up for more.
We're going to turn it up, turn the heat up on this guy.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Exactly, brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Police nabbed almost everyone in this crime ring, but there's one suspect still walking free. Take a good look at Karwan Mohammed. He's 33 years old, 5'7", about 200 pounds. He's bald with brown eyes. He's alleged to be part of these violent Atlanta area home invasions, but he's vanished and covered his trail. Let's help police catch up to him. Call us at 1-866-AMW-TIPS or hit us up on our site at amwtips.com.
Coming up, we'll take another look at the fugitives still on the run, suspects who think they can slip through the cracks. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Let's recap some of our cases and the fugitives we need your help to catch.
Aaron Pennington is 34 years old, has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is 6 foot 2 inches tall, and he weighs about 175 pounds. Now, he was last seen in Gardner, Massachusetts, and is wanted in connection to the murder of his wife, Breezy. We really need your tips to deliver justice to Breezy's family and her 4 children.
Renato Yedra Braceno is 40 years old. Latino male, 5'7" and 170 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He usually wears his hair in a ponytail, and he has a distinctive peak in his hairline, and his left ear is pierced. These renderings of Briseno's tattoos created by the U.S. Marshals show a D and an F on the left side of his chest, and a skeleton angel on his back. Authorities believe Yedra Briseno is hiding out in Mexico, where he reportedly has family, and he has possible contacts in Alabama. Wherever you live, be on the lookout for this dangerous fugitive.
We also told you about a ruthless crime ring in the Atlanta area and a car that was used in a string of violent home invasions. Tonight, we're on the hunt for the car's owner, Karwan Mohammed. He's 33 years old, 5'7", and about 200 pounds. He's bald with brown eyes. If you have any information, please don't wait. Call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or visit amwtips.com. Now, before we go, a look ahead to next week in a case we urgently need your help solving. It seemed like just another day at a crowded strip mall when a man walked up and fired 6 shots, killing a sanitation worker. Now his family is left without a father, and a fugitive has earned himself a spot on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list. That's next week on America's Most Wanted.
Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Callahan Walsh. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
I'm John Walsh, and don't forget, you can make a difference.